You open the fridge, you stare at it for 10 seconds. Nothing looks good. You close it again. This happens almost every day of your life, and you never stop to ask why. But the real answer is far stranger than boredom or bad luck. It reaches back 3 million years into a world with no fridges, no menus, and no guarantee that today would include food at all. Your body was not built for choice, it was built for scarcity. Think about what you assume ancient humans ate. Maybe a caveman gnawing on a giant slab of mammoth meat. Maybe a hunter dragging home a deer at sunset while the tribe cheers. That image is everywhere, in cartoons, in documentaries, in diet books, promising to get you back to nature. Almost none of it is accurate. Meat was not the daily meal of early humans. It was the jackpot. For most of the last 2 million years, the bulk of the human diet was plants, not lettuce and quinoa, roots, tubers, bark, nuts that took an hour to crack open for a mouthful of fat. Insects when they could be caught. Leaves that had to be chewed for a long time just to extract a little bit of energy. Meat showed up rarely, and when it did, it was an event, not a Tuesday. Anthropologist Richard Wrangham at Harvard spent decades studying this exact question. He proposed something called the cooking hypothesis. His argument was simple but radical. Humans did not become human because they started eating meat. Humans became human because they started cooking food. Here is why that matters. Raw plant food is hard to digest. Your gut has to work overtime to pull calories out of raw roots and raw grains. Cooking breaks down those tough plant fibers before they ever reach your stomach. It is, in a sense, digestion that happens outside the body, over a fire, before a single bite is taken. Wrangham calculated that cooked food delivers dramatically more usable energy than the same food eaten raw. More energy meant something had to change, and it did. The human gut shrank. The human brain grew. Digestion is expensive. Brains are expensive. You cannot afford both at full size. Something had to give, and once fire entered the picture, the body made its trade. Less gut, more brain. That trade is, in a very real sense, why you are capable of reading this sentence right now. So when did that shift happen? The evidence is messier than you might expect. Archaeologist Francesco Berna, working on cave sites in South Africa, found burned plant material and heat-altered bone dated to roughly 1 million years ago. That is one of the earliest strong signs of controlled fire use for cooking. Some researchers push the timeline back even further, arguing that anatomical changes in early Homo erectus, nearly 2 million years ago, only make sense if cooking was already part of the picture. The exact date is still debated. What is not debated is the direction of the story. Fire changed food. Food changed the brain. The brain changed everything else. But cooking was not the only shift. There was also the matter of fat. Modern diet culture treats fat like the enemy. Ancient bodies treated it like treasure. Fat is the most energy-dense substance available in nature, more than double the calories per gram of protein or carbohydrate. In an environment where the next meal was never guaranteed, a body that craved fat and stored it efficiently had a massive survival advantage over a body that did not. This is where bone marrow enters the story. Long before humans were skilled hunters of large, fast animals, they were scavengers. They would find carcasses left behind by lions or hyenas, carcasses that had already been picked mostly clean of meat. But marrow, locked deep inside the bone, was often untouched. Cracking a bone open with a stone tool and extracting that fat was, calorically, one of the smartest moves available on the ancient landscape. Some researchers argue that scavenging marrow, not hunting, may have been one of the very first meat-related behaviors in the human lineage. Notice what that means. Your craving for a greasy burger is not a modern failure of willpower. It is an extremely old, extremely successful survival strategy, running in a world that no longer resembles the one it was built for. Now, think about sugar the same way. Ripe fruit was rare, seasonal, and valuable. A body that could detect sugar instantly and feel a rush of motivation to eat as much as possible before it spoiled, or a competitor found it first, outcompeted a body that shrugged at sweetness. That instinct still lives in you. It is why a slice of cake barely requires willpower to finish, while a plate of plain steamed vegetables does. Nobody had to teach you to love sugar. It was already installed. Anthropologist Catherine Milton, who studied primate and early human foraging patterns, documented just how much labor went into a single day's food in traditional foraging societies. Hours spent digging, cracking, climbing, and searching, often for a return of calories barely worth the effort. Food was not entertainment. It was math. Constant, exhausting math run by a brain that had to calculate energy and against energy spent every single day with real consequences for getting it wrong. Here is the twist that should genuinely unsettle you. Your brain is still running that exact same math right now, today. When you stand in front of the fridge and feel drawn toward the fattiest, sweetest, saltiest option available, that is not a personal flaw. That is a 2 million-year-old survival algorithm doing exactly what it evolved to do. It has no idea that the scarcity ended. It has no idea that the fridge will be full again tomorrow and the day after that and every day for the rest of your life. As far as your ancient wiring is concerned, every meal might be the last one for a while. So grab the calories, grab the fat, grab the sugar while you still can. This is why modern diets so often feel like a war against your own instincts. Because in a sense, they are. You are not simply choosing what to eat, you are negotiating with an ancient decision-making system that was optimized for a world of unpredictable hunger, not a world of drive-thrus open 24 hours a day. And it is not only about individual cravings, it is about what counted as a normal meal in the first place. Anthropological research on modern hunter-gatherer groups, including long-term studies of communities like the Hadza in Tanzania, shows enormous variation in diet depending on season, region, and what happened to be available that week. There was no fixed caveman diet. There was only whatever the land offered, adapted to constantly, without complaint, because there was no alternative. That adaptability is arguably the real evolutionary superpower. Not a specific food, not a specific ratio of meat to plants. The ability to eat almost anything, digest almost anything, and switch strategies the moment the environment demanded it. Humans spread across nearly every ecosystem on Earth, from freezing tundra to dense rainforest to arid desert, in large part because the human diet was never locked to one formula. So the next time you feel a pull towards something rich or sweet or fatty, at a moment when you are not even especially hungry, pause for a second before judging yourself for it. That pull is not weakness. It is a signal traveling forward from a version of you that lived through droughts, failed hunts, and long stretches with almost nothing to eat. It kept that version of you alive long enough to have descendants. Eventually, it kept you alive too. You close the fridge again, still not sure what you want, but now you know the real reason you were standing there in the first place. It has almost nothing to do with hunger and almost everything to do with a body that has never once stopped preparing for a famine that, for you, is never going to come.